Did you, I'm sure you kind of answered this last night, but why didn't you keep him in for the 2 minute, or why did you decide to take him out?
Yeah, nothing more than decided to give Snoop.
It's looking like surrender mode right now, and the weight is crashing down hard on both Shedeur Sanders and the Browns. After the game, chaos hit the locker room. Linemen who once blocked for Shedeur got waived, and a couple players straight up had their contracts terminated. The backlash hasn't just been loud, it's been explosive, with the spotlight locked on Coach Stefanski. Reporters grilled him about that wild call, yanking Shedeur out before the 2-minute drill, the exact kind of high-pressure moment that could have shown the rookie's real skills. Fans and critics were stunned, whispering that Stefanski might have sabotaged his own quarterback. The tension was so thick you could feel it through the cameras. When Stefanski stepped up to explain himself, he wasn't calm at all. His voice shook, his words stumbled, and it was obvious the pressure's eating him alive. He tried to sell this story about pulling Shedeur so Snoop Huntley could get tuned up in the last minutes. But let's keep it real. Nobody's buying that excuse. Snoop Huntley wasn't brought in as some secret weapon. He was an emergency pickup. The man was practically off the street filling in because everybody else was hurt. Yet Stefanski put the game and Shedeur's confidence on the line to push this shaky narrative. The fans know it, the media knows it, and now Stefanski's credibility is hanging by a thread. Snoop Huntley was just a body to fill the gap, never meant to stick around, and everybody knows it. Yet somehow Stefanski still tossed him in just to pull Shedeur out. And that's when the whole thing started spiraling out of control.
The fans gonna be saying, Shedeur our quarterback. Shedeur should be our starter. Shedeur should be the guy that starts game one, week one. Look what he did. They didn't want that to happen. And I don't know what's going on with Kevin Stefanski. It's almost as if, and I don't even want to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
The coach's tone said it all. He sounded frustrated, nervous, and like a man second-guessing his own choices. Then came the heavy blow from former Browns player Ousmane Day, who didn't sugarcoat a single word. He blasted Stefanski's handling of Shedeur, saying in all his years with the Browns, he's never seen a coach work this hard to block one of his own players from shining. Ousmane hinted loud and clear, this feels personal, like Stefanski's got a grudge against Shedeur, and he wasn't the only one calling it out. TJ straight up said the bias was obvious, warning that if this keeps up, pressure on the Browns to fire Stefanski will skyrocket. From the looks of Stefanski's shaky body language, the warning might already be sinking in. He's walking around like a man with a target on his back, and this ain't even the first time Shedeur's been treated like this. TJ pointed straight to the first preseason game. Shedeur was flawless out there. Smooth passes, calm under pressure, the whole package. But instead of giving the young quarterback his flowers, Stefanski went cold, refusing to offer even the slightest praise.
Like when he played well the first game, he was so off-putting, like, oh yeah, well, we'll see what happens next. Like, he should, he played great, man. He exceeded our expectations. He didn't say none of that. And so to me, it's as if they want him to fail so they can justify doing what they want to do.
Fast forward to yesterday, and it looks like Stefanski's been on a mission to make Shedeur look bad, as if he's desperate to prove that the coaches were right all along and Shedeur was the problem. TJ didn't hold back, saying it feels like Shedeur was being set up to fail from day one. And when you look at the receipts, it's hard to argue. From the jump, Stefanski's bias was written all over his actions. Shedeur stunned the crowd with that preseason performance, but instead of acknowledging the magic, Stefanski downplayed it, talking vaguely about developing all his quarterbacks while completely ignoring Shedeur's standout play. Now the irony is brutal. Stefanski, who worked overtime trying to push Shedeur out of Cleveland, is the one under fire. He once criticized Shedeur with no justification, but now he's scrambling, backpedaling in front of the cameras, suddenly claiming he'll work on developing Sanders. That ain't a plan, that's survival mode. And it's not just fans putting the heat on him anymore. Journalists, analysts, and insiders are all calling out the same thing. Stefanski's credibility is cracking, and every move he makes only proves that the walls are closing in fast. Chad Ochocinco Johnson jumped into the fire, and he didn't hold back. He argued that Stefanski threw Shedeur into a lineup full of players who weren't even roster material, basically setting him up to crash. Ocho made it plain. Even Tom Brady would have struggled with that kind of weak squad around him. Shadow never had a fair chance to shine, and the so-called struggles were bound to happen. Ocho also dropped a warning. He said, watch how fast the critics on the Browns' payroll start spinning the narrative, calling Shadow a flop and writing him off as a fifth-string nobody. But here's the kicker. The real issue, Stefanski putting Shadow in a trap situation, might go unnoticed. Ocho claimed the whole setup was part of an effort to drag Shadow down instead of giving him space to grow.
The COVID year, so it gave everybody an extra year if you wanted it.
Understandable. But listen, it's
what the chat say? The chat believe he took a shot or no?
Let me look in the chat. I ain't even open my phone. Hold on. I'm curious to see what the chat would think. They are saying.
And while Ocho was dead right about the setup, he underestimated one thing: the fans. Cleveland fans aren't letting this slide. The backlash has been loud, with people demanding the Browns cut ties with Stefanski for his clear bias against Shedeur Sanders. The noise is only getting louder, and the front office won't be able to duck this heat forever. Skip Bayless came firing shots, tearing into the Browns for how they've been handling Shedeur Sanders. He called it the worst possible way to manage a young player and said the pattern is too clear to ignore. According to Skip, this ain't some random mistake. Shedeur has been mishandled from the jump by both Stefanski and the entire organization. Instead of lifting him up, they've been stacking the deck against him. Skip pointed out that Shedeur hasn't been given the real opportunities or the backing he needs to succeed. Every decision they've made has only piled on more pressure, making it harder and harder for him to break through. It's like the Browns want the world to believe he's not ready, when in reality, they never gave him a fair shot. Stephen A. Smith had already seen the writing on the wall when Shedeur played his first preseason game. He boldly said the Browns were setting him up to fail. And now, it's looking like he was right all along. From the lack of meaningful reps in practice to the sketchy play calling, everything screams sabotage. Even analyst G. Bush stepped in, adding that Shedeur Sanders was never truly a priority for Cleveland. He was just another name on the roster. And the way things are unfolding makes it clear the Browns treated him like he didn't matter. People close to the team pointed out that Shedeur was doing everything right, arriving early, staying late, grinding harder than anyone else just to prove himself. But no matter how much work he put in, it was clear Stefanski didn't want him to succeed.
I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened. By the way, Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League, now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski.
That's why fans are done being quiet. They're openly demanding Stefanski step down, blasting him for sabotaging a young quarterback's future. What was supposed to be a fresh chance for Shadow has spiraled into one of the Browns' biggest controversies. Instead of nurturing his talent, Stefanski's leadership has turned into a blueprint of mismanagement. Analysts and insiders see it too. TJ Houshmandzadeh, Zaid Ochochenko, Skip Bayless, and G. Bush have all lined up to call out the team's failures. From pulling him in crucial moments to surrounding him with players not even roster-worthy, every move looks like a setup. The Browns never created a real path for Shadow to shine, but now they're trying to spin his struggles as if it's all on him. Fans aren't buying it, and neither are the analysts. The pressure on Stefanski is undeniable. His credibility is cracking as calls for his resignation grow louder every day. What was once about Shadow's potential has now become a bigger question about the Browns' leadership and direction. Will Cleveland own up to their mistake or let their locker room implode under Stefanski's watch? Inside the locker room, the whispers are getting louder. Players are starting to question whether Stefanski has completely lost the trust of his team. Some insiders say a divide is forming, with a handful of players quietly backing Shadow and feeling like the coach's decisions don't line up with winning football. That kind of tension can tear a team apart from the inside out. What's worse, reports suggest that a few veterans have already confronted Stefanski about his treatment of Shadow. They feel like if a rookie working this hard can't even get a fair shake, then what does that say about the future for everyone else? Respect is the one thing a coach can't afford to lose, and right now Stefanski's respect is slipping through his fingers. fans have been fueling the fire too, with chants breaking out in the stadium calling for Stefanski to be benched before Shedeur ever is. Social media has turned brutal. Hashtags demanding his resignation are trending, and it feels like the city itself is siding with Shedeur over the coach. This ain't just about one quarterback anymore. This is about leadership, trust, and the Browns' future.
When they're at practice, Shedeur Sanders is not their priority. When he is at practice, he was staying hours beforehand, leaving hours later.
If Stefanski can't get the locker room back on his side, this could turn into a full-blown meltdown that even the front office won't be able to ignore. The media storm has gone national now. Stefanski's every move is under the microscope, and league insiders are ripping him apart. ESPN, FS1, and even independent analysts are calling this one of the most reckless mishandlings of a young quarterback in recent memory. Some are even comparing Stefanski's treatment of Shedeur Sanders to other failed coaching regimes that collapsed under the weight of bad leadership. Stephen A. Smith doubled down, saying flat out, "This ain't about talent, this is about sabotage." Other analysts echoed the same point, pointing out that Shedeur came in with all the right tools, discipline, work ethic, and raw talent, yet was still thrown into setups designed to make him stumble. That's not just bad coaching, that's career damage. Insiders say executives from rival teams are watching closely, and they can see through the smokescreen. Many believe if Cleveland cuts ties with Shedeur, another franchise will scoop him up immediately, and he'll shine somewhere else. That possibility is making fans even angrier because no one wants to watch their team fumble away a star in the making. Meanwhile, the Browns front office is feeling the backlash from all directions. Local media, national coverage, and their own fan base turning up the heat. The message is loud and clear. Either fix this disaster or brace for total collapse. So now the biggest question hangs heavy. Will Shedeur Sanders rise above all this chaos? Or will he be remembered as another young talent crushed by a broken system? Only time will tell. But one thing is undeniable. The pressure cooker on Coach Stefanski is about to explode, and change feels closer than ever. What's your take on this storm? Do you think Stefanski's calls were just poor judgment under pressure, or does it run deeper, maybe even personal against Shedeur? With fans chanting for his job and analysts demanding accountability, is it fair to say Shedeur was set up from the start? Or do you think there are other hidden factors we still don't know about? And the biggest one of all, should Stefanski step down now, or can he somehow claw back respect and turn this around? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you on the next one.